Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Attack on Productions. Fluff here, and today I'm coming at you with the U9 Gotenks deck profile. But before we get into it, make sure to leave us a like if there's something that you want to see in the future. Let us know in the comments below. If you're not already subscribed, do us a solid. Subscribe, especially if you like the content that we're putting out. Today we are looking at U9 Gotenks. So I chose the Gotenks later just because he draws a lot. It punishes your opponent by giving you resources if they activate counters. So he does that on both sides. On the front side, you get to take a life and draw. You awaken at 4, restanding 2 energy. And on the back side, you still get your draw when you swing. You get the draw if your opponent activates a counter. But you also get crit and 5,000 if you Union Fusion. So basically, it's just a good generic leader. We don't have to run a specific engine in it. It's just good yellow. So that was the choice for the leader. On the Unison front, the only card that we run is the Bergamo Giant Force. I love this card. I was really interested in testing around with this when it came out. Basically, if it gets attacked, it gets another marker. So it's kind of a de-incentivizer for your opponent to not attack it. They don't, unless they're hitting it with a double strike, they're not really gaining ground on it. We don't need this Unison to stick around. We just need to keep it around long enough to -2, which lets us search our deck and play a U9 of 2 or less from the deck. So that's the important takeaway. Usually this card's going to sit around 11 or 14,000. So the swing isn't super prevalent once your leader awakens. So we're mainly in late game, we're paying 2 to play this to search out a U9 that we need. Enough said on that. It's a really good Unison. I love it in this build. Going into the U9 engine, we do play 3 Universe 9 Assemble. Draw 2 if all your energy is tapped. If all of your opponent's energy is tapped, you get to play Universe 9 with a 2 or less. I like this better than Apes. The big problem in this deck specifically is they don't have combo power. So if you end up with 2 or 3 of these in hand when you're trying to push for game, or your opponent's pushing on you, they're just dead cards in hand that you can't do a lot with. But we do want to try to resolve one of these on turn 2 in the same turn that we're resolving one of these. It gives us a bunch of plays. It gives us a bunch of resources. It gives us a lot of aggro and control on the field. So I had this at 4 before. You could run this at 4, but I noticed they clogged a little bit, so we're only running 3. Then we're running 2 of the Basil Fatal Rampage. I had this at 3 before, but where you can only have 1 on a field at a time, I would stick with 1 on the field, and there would be times that I couldn't resolve a Universe 9 Assemble or the effect on Bergamo. Just for that, I'm only running 2 of, and plus once your opponent kind of knows that you benefit if they're tapped out, they will try to keep this effect from becoming live, or it just becomes a target for them to pop. So it is pressure if you can tap them down or they tap themselves down and can't kill you. This becomes a nice little pressure push and a great way to deal with Unisons and get your opponent's Unison to under 2 markers. Then we run 3 row Brash Supremacy. This card is great for letting us go into our opponent if they have an open energy for defense or 2 open energy for defense. You swing with this, you get to tap one of their energies down. It doesn't have to be an energy, it can be any card. So if you swing at leader, auto rest the blocker, they can't activate blocker, or if they've got an open energy and you need to tap that down to be able to resolve a U9 Assemble, you can tap a free energy down. Plus it kind of puts your opponent where they have to sparking negate or rely on Unison fueled negates. So we do run 3 of these. These are great targets to get off of Bergamo or U9 Assemble. And then I do run 4 Chappelle. I will probably refer to it as Chappelle for the rest of the video, but the Iron Drake. Chappelle is great for controlling your opponent. If you can board 2 of these, your opponent is going to have to play weird to get rid of them before they swing. And if they do swing, you just tap their energy down, which locks their tempo out. It basically throws every deck off of its own tempo. So I do love these. They're really good. Probably the only color they're not great in is against red, because red can just neg them out before they really swing. Then I do play 4 Fearless Assault Krillins. This is just crit pressure and self-awakening if we need it. Though the leader already kind of self-awakens, so you want to be careful with this. But a turn 2 Fearless Assault Krillin swing, add Champa is a lot of pressure, or even turn 1 Fearless Assault, Krillin, swing, crit, your opponent's going to combo out of it or take it. So do run 4 of those because it is good. For a little bit more pressure, I do play 2 of the Bardock Father and Sons. These just tap a relevant card on the field and put a 15,000 body on board. You can only have 1 in play at a time, so I only run 2. You could run this at 3 to see it more often. If this were like a crit or a double strike, I would say definitely play 3 to 4 of them. But since it's just a 15 vanilla, once it hits the field, we're just running 2 for that extra little bit of pressure. Then to kind of substitute taking out the U9 Assemble that we weren't running it for, I am running 2 Draw Apes. You don't have to run these, but you do want to see combo pieces, and if you have a turn where you don't have any applicable plays in hand but have one of these, your opponent still has open energy, I'd rather burn one of these out of the drop than burn a U9 in my hand, especially if I'm not being able to free play off that U9. So we would play this, swing, Awaken maybe, I don't know. We just run these because they are additional combo pieces if we need it. Then I do run 2 Furthering Destruction Champa. This is really good on the leader once it's getting crit after Union Fusion, or it's good with the Krillin that has crit. So you Champa on the Krillin swing, it's a 25,000 double strike crit, which is always a ton of pressure. Your opponent's either going to combo out of it or negate the attack, in which case you're not wasting your Champa. So really good there. I do run 2 of the Grade 8 Bardock Raiders Warcry. This could be more. My rationalization there is this is a pay 2 combo for a card that is going to be highly counterable, and it feels really bad to tap 2 energy to combo with this, to have your opponent just counterplay it. You don't get the tap, you don't get the draw. And honestly, this deck has other stuff that it would rather do with its energy. It would either establish another Bergamo Unison, or resolve a Draw Ape, or resolve a U9 Assemble. These are great when there's an opportunity to use them, but a lot of times they just sit dead in hand, especially with the pay 2 combo. Kind of moving into the Union Fusion engine, I do play 3 of the Trunks Flash of Brilliance, 3 of the Sun Goten Flash of Brilliance. I think once we actually get expansion sets, our local shops do not have them yet. Once we get those, I will probably drop these down 1 each and go in 3 to 4 of the new Goten and Trunks, just to give a little bit more edge on the deck. But these are great because if you have a bunch of cards that you can't combo if you tap out, you can discard those cards that you can't combo with to get these back in hand to combo with during your opponent's turn for defense. Kind of something that I noticed there. And then to round that package out, we do run 3 of the Gotenks Going All Out. Number 1, it's one of the best looking special rares in the game, but it also gets rid of problem cards on the field. Like if we're facing down a 6-drop Vegeta, you play this, negate its skills, KO it, and you get to draw 2 cards off this. So resolving this is a lot of value for the deck because it lets your leader get crit. It lets you get rid of a problem card. Then he's 25,000 dual attack double strike, which is a lot of pressure. And if you used Row to tap your opponent down, they're going to have to combo these out or just take the damage. So those are pretty good. For game closers, I do run 2 SS3 Son Goku Man on a Mission. These are just double strike critters for 20,000. Free to play. We usually do load our drop area up fairly well. So these are great for that aspect. And just closing the game when your opponent thinks that maybe your turn is done. Against longer games that might swarm me out or provide other problems, I do run the Secret Rare Sin Shenron. I will say this can probably be like a Mira Assault from the Skies. This could be the Gotenks Secret Rare. This could be the Gogeta Secret Rare. This could be a number of different things. I just kind of played this as a tech choice to deal with certain matchups. Most of the time, this is going to just be a charge target. But in some matches, you're going to be able to board this and just use it to block to survive to win the next turn. So one of those. Rounding out our extra cards, I do play 2 Vegeta's Final Flash. These are perfect for baiting your opponent into making big late game mistakes more than anything else. So if your opponent boards, I don't know, a Kaioken Goku, and they swing after ripping your hand out, or they drop a Zeno Cell, and you still have one of these with an open energy. They swing with Zeno Cell. During the defensive step, you play one of these, you take 1 damage. They don't get to restand the cell. Just good. And it's additional combo pressure if we need it. I do run 2 Time Magic. Again, this is for stuff that's going to restand. So Gotenks is pretty big in the meta right now. Zeno Cell's a big influencing factor. So these are mainly for that. They're not always useful. It's honestly a pretty piss poor negate if you have to Sparking with it. But being able to just use this to keep a dual attack pressure down, or to keep yourself from having to take another triple attack, that's mainly what it's for. Then I do run 2 Flying Nimbus. Again, this is for the aggro matchup. This deck does not like crackback aggro, so we're going to use this to floodgate the number of times that they can swing with their battle cards. Flying Nimbus gets worse and worse. It's just a necessary evil in yellow decks, I think. So 2. Then I play 2 of the Zamasu super combos. These could be draw combos if you really wanted them. I just like the option of tapping stuff down to activate Basil's effect. Or if your opponent is swinging with a battle card and their leader's up, you can use the Moss to tap the leader down and deny them resources for the rest of that turn. So I use these. It's almost like having another free negate in the deck. And then I do run 2 Krillin Moments before comeback. This is just quality control. You do have to be at 4 or less life. You get to bottom deck a card, which you could reload a U9 in your hand to be able to resolve the Bergamo Unison effect and then draw 2. So it just kind of helps you modulate combos plus enable other cards. So that, by my count, is the 50 card U9 Gotenks deck. Again, the MVPs in this deck are really the Bergamo Giant Force and the U9 Assemble. These are kind of your playmakers. It's a lot of value for little. So that's it's very mid-range. It's very aggro. Your opponent having to tap their energy down at inopportune times makes them play bad, makes them play inopportunely. So you can just take a lot of advantage of that. The deck works really well. I've played a number of games. I've lost once to AOD. That was the one game that happened to be on camera, but I made a lot of misplays. He took full advantage of that. I love this deck. It's a ton of fun. So if you're looking for an alternative to other types of aggro, or you're tired of playing yellow control, give this deck a shot out. It's a lot of really fun aggro. Anyway, I'm rambling. That's kind of it. Thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure to stay tuned. We've got some interesting trading card game switch-ups coming. We're going to keep doing Dragon Ball, but we've got something exciting that we just got today. So sorry it took so long to get this profile out. This is actually probably the second or third. This is the 3rd time that I've recorded this profile. So, as always, read your cards, know your plays. Like always, Fluf out.